Welcome to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend Matt.
I have another insurance commercial to complain about.
Okay. Okay, what's that?
Okay, so you know the sequence of Geico commercials where it's like they have homeowners insurance, but they have something at their house that is like also the same name as something else. Like, oh, we have a rat problem, and it's the band Rat, or we have ants, and it's like ants, like people.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, they have one where they talk about how they have a clogging problem, like a clogging problem upstairs. They cut to their neighbors who are doing a dance with hard shoes that are not clogs, but tap shoes.
Okay, I do know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's a missed opportunity little bit there.
They're not clogs.
Yeah.
The implication is that they are clogging, but they are tap dancing.
Right.
Those are different things.
Okay, hold on. Let me investigate this for a second, because or maybe maybe clogging is just a type of dance that maybe doesn't like that maybe is okay. So hold on. So clogging is a type of folk dance practiced in the United States in which which the dancer's footwear is used percussively by striking the heel, the toe, or both against the floor of each other to create audible rhythms, usually to the downbeat with the heel keeping the rhythm. Okay, but then technically then it doesn't necessarily say that they need to be wearing clogs. Technically.
Fair. However, the shoes themselves are not clogs. They are definitely tap shoes.
Oh no, I see that. But even like I don't know if you could pull this up. It's on the Wikipedia page. I mean, I don't know. I'm not very much a expert on shoe wear or footwear, but those look like tap shoes to me on the Wikipedia page.
All right, I could be mistaken. But
No. You're probably right, and that's definitely a thing to call out Geico on. But I was just curious if maybe I'm not understanding the we're not understanding like the if they maybe clogging is just the overarching dance routine and not so much the shoe wear itself. But how uncomfortable would it be to wear the clogs anyway? Because I just think when I think of clogs, I think of they're just like these wooden.
Yeah, that's what the traditional ones are.
Yeah, like that they're just wooden and like a little oversized, and like I don't even know how those are comfortable to dance in. But yeah. Hey, if you're into it, you know how to do it.
Can you clog with tap shoes?
Okay, yeah, that's a good thing to look up.
Okay, the reality is most cloggers wear taps and shoes which look similar to tap shoes. The difference between clogging shoes and tap shoes is mainly in the style of tap. Tap shoes have a single tap attached to the toe and heel. Most clogging taps have an additional tap riveted on top of the single tap.
Jesus Christ, there's too much.
I don't even know what I read.
Yeah.
There's too much.
There's too much tap.
Too much information about clogging and tap.
There's two, like, they put the one tap on the two tap. Like,
put
oh my God.
the tap on the single tap.
Put one tap in.
Double tap.
In.
One tap, two tap, three tap, four.
It's Mamba number 5. Tap number 5. My God. Welcome everyone to another edition of the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. I enjoy those wormholes. I greatly enjoy those early wormholes of the podcast episodes. So we are through week 10. We're through the first double-digit week. We are a week away from Thanksgiving, which, by the way, I might as well just say it here because I was going to say it near the end of the episode. For those that, I don't know how many of you are out there, and if you are out there, I fucking love you. If you are one of the first people to listen to this podcast the moment it comes out at noon on Thursdays, I appreciate you. We are going to move the time in which those are released just for next week because of Thanksgiving. I'm going to move it to 8 a.m. instead of 12 p.m.
Ooh.
Because of...
Morning podcast.
Yeah, mainly because of the fact that there's going to be 3 Thanksgiving games next week, and they will start at noon, And so I want to be able to have that podcast out right beforehand, so that way you guys kind of get your your Thanksgiving takes early, and then you can watch, what is it, Lions Texans? Jesus Christ, the Thanksgiving slate's not good.
No,
the early slate is I think it's Lions Texans, and I think Cowboys Washington is rough.
Okay,
but Ravens Steelers is the prime time.
Oh boy.
Game. So
boy.
That's a good one. That should be good. So a week away from Thanksgiving. And we're just nearing the point where the season's now going to take a really wild turn, and we saw the wildness unfold as we transitioned to the game of the week, where we had a buzzer beater Hail Mary touchdown for the win. The first in the regular season, I want to say, since Aaron Rodgers' Detroit Lions, walk-off victory in Thursday Night Football back in 2015, I want to say.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's the last one I remember of this caliber. But yeah, Bills Cardinals, and this is of course breaking the streak that we've had of not talking about repeating a team over the course of a 9-week period. But that's okay, because the Cardinals turned things around from the week prior, where they lost narrowly to the Dolphins. The Cardinals were behind in this game. If I could fucking find the goddamn game. There you go. Sorry, a little aggressive there. So they were down for a little bit of time, the Cardinals, but they had a very strong 17-point third quarter to come back. And the Bills basically took the entire fourth quarter, it felt like, to drive down the field and take up as much time off the clock as possible in order to score a beautiful Josh Allen pass to Stephon Diggs for a touchdown. And that put them up 30 to 26.
And you know what the announcer said in that moment?
What was that?
Stephon Diggs is the best wide receiver in the NFL right now.
Okay, well that could have maybe not aged well at the moment. And what then unfolded was that and we at this point I spent basically all of Sunday playing Super Mario Odyssey, completely just I tuned in as much as possible with football. I obviously watch it to be able to give analysis on this podcast and stuff. But at that point, I was just like, okay, so it looks like the Bills are probably going to close things out. I don't see any, miracles happening. So I did have it up on my screen, but I was looking up playing a level, and then all of a sudden I looked down right as Kyler Murray rolled to his left and heaved it down the field to DeAndre Hopkins in the last seconds, where 3 Bills defenders were surrounding DeAndre Hopkins, and Hopkins brings it down in miraculous fashion for a touchdown to seal the game and put the Bills to just put them into a 7-3 situation. They're not in a bad situation. The Bills did everything right on that last play to try to defend
Absolutely.
it. But the Cardinals, man, they are rolling, and they are now 6-3 and have not sole possession in the first place in the NFC West, but are with tiebreakers. They are in first place in a very competitive division. Your takeaways from this game?
Love the Cardinals, dude. I mean, I knew going in that the Cardinals were going to be a better team. I still don't think anyone thought that they were going to be this good and that Kyler would take this type of jump in year 2. But damn, it's working.
Yeah.
And unlike the Seahawks, they don't have a defense problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think
they don't have a stellar defense.
Yeah, but
they don't have a problem like the Seahawks do.
Right. No, yeah, I mean, they have a lot of great young defenders. And they also still have, Patrick Peterson playing, not like at his level that he used to, but still playing relatively well. Yeah, the defense is definitely playing well. I'm admiring Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins mostly from this game, because I thought overall Murray had a great game. And
get fucked, Houston Texans.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think my takeaway from this from this game was just how miserable it has to be for a Houston Texans fan that Bill O'Brien gave DeAndre Hopkins away essentially for like a penny, a potato chip, and a used tissue, for for just it basically gave him away, and now your Texans are in complete misery, and the dude that traded them was fired after what, like 4 or 5 weeks? Like,
yeah,
it's insane.
Ooh, it's rough.
Not
for Cardinals fans though.
Not for Cardinals fans. Cardinals fans should be very excited. They have if people believe in the momentum of things, this is a good momentum to bring into a Thursday Night Football matchup that's going to be massive this week against the Seahawks.
One of the most important games of the year for both these teams.
Right, and again for the Bills, yes, they're one. Yeah, it's bad to lose this game. It sucks that you lost it, and you know that you can't take it back. You still have a little bit of a tough schedule ahead, and now you have the Dolphins basically around your heels. I understand the pressure of the situation at the moment for Buffalo, but their defense is improving, and like. They're starting to generate a little bit more pass rush as the week goes on, and the offense still looks good. I mean, they were a little dysfunctional in the third quarter, at times, and especially in the fourth quarter, while they were knocking off time of the clock, there was moments where they just were not playing well. But that was again part of it was the Cardinals pass rush that was helping. So there's things to be hopeful about with Buffalo, and they are off this week, so they can recover from a really devastating loss, and we'll see what happens as they move forward into week 12. Next up, the blowout of the week. We don't have to spend too much time on this. Not a surprise here. The Steelers take care of business against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, of course, only scored 10 points versus the Steelers 36, and it was a 26-point, nice, solid victory for the Steelers. Can I ask you, Matt? Because
yes.
I don't have much to say about the game itself, but in terms of the Steelers, do you think at this point this team goes 16 now?
I think that they're. Let me look at the schedule. I'm pretty sure their toughest opponent left. They have. So they have the Ravens.
Yep.
They have the Bills, and they have the Colts, and the Browns. But the Browns, I think that the Browns I would be concerned about if it was a team that wasn't the Steelers.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Sure, I get that.
I think if they beat the Ravens, they're going to go 16-0.
Yeah. See, I guess I'm not there yet. I think. Yeah. I think where I'm still iffy about the Steelers is that I still think that they have. They're doing well on offense, but they're not like these world beaters that I would expect a team to be undefeated to be. You know,
they're currently not rushing the ball super well.
Right. That's kind of the thing for me.
Yeah, but Big Ben is doing really well at passing, and now that Juju isn't the focus of the offense, he's playing a lot better now.
No, yeah, the offense is again. I'm not saying that the offense is bad necessarily. I expect like a 16-0 team to be like all over the place. You can't stop them. Where I think that there's been cases where the Steelers on the offense have been stopped, but like their defense has done their job in terms of being able to hold off whatever offense on the other side. And the defense can absolutely do that probably with any team that's left. I definitely. I'm not there yet. I do want to see what the next 2 weeks are. I mean, this week obviously is going to be a gimme for them against Jacksonville, but
I think Ravens Bills are going to be their toughest tests.
Definitely,
and maybe the Colts if the Colts remain good.
Yeah, if the Colts can remain consistent with how, if they repeat what they did on Thursday night, and they kind of keep that momentum going, again, for those who believe in momentum, like I don't know. I think that there's a path for them potentially. But yeah, and then
Yep.
last but not least, Team Chaos of the week. And this one was hard to swallow a bit because I was like, I was ready to put this team away. I was ready to just not think about this team anymore.
Throwback to the past 2 weeks of podcasts where both of us go, oh, you know what would really suck if the Steelers lost, or if the Patriots, or if the Ravens lost.
And sure enough, the Ravens go into Foxborough, and things just don't work out well, mainly in the passing game, but even their running game in some ways was kind of stifled. And as good as the defense tried to be at times, the Patriots just ended up getting up to too big of a lead for the Ravens to come back from, which is a consistent issue with the Ravens. They are not a good team to come back.
No.
And when they did have an opportunity to come back, Bill Belichick spawned a rainstorm upon literal rainstorm upon Lamar Jackson and co. So it was a bad night for the Ravens, and they are now. It's going to be very hard for them to try to catch up to the Steelers in this division now, even if that's even a possibility at this point. And now the Patriots, we thought they were dead. We thought that this was going to begin the end for this reign of years of being in the playoffs and things like that. And it may still be, but they stay alive for one more week. Your thoughts?
I don't know how to feel about the Patriots right now. Like if the Dolphins and Bills weren't so good, then I think I would have more positive feelings about the Patriots, I guess.
Yeah.
Just division-wise, but they're kind of, at least against Baltimore, they showed who we thought they were at the beginning of the season, when Cam was on fire and they were playing like, we expect the Patriots to play. I don't know how much it's going to stick, but it's definitely not like it's not end of the world like we thought it was at one point this season.
Yeah, I mean, this is now 2 weeks in a row that they have a win, and I really thought with the way that they played the Jets on Monday night that would kind of be the indicator, I guess, of how the Patriots are basically close, or just maybe like a little bit better than the Jets, and that's about it. It could have been a matchup thing. I mean, I think what happened last year, last time the Ravens played the Patriots, it was last year around the same time of year, during the regular season, and the Ravens took the Patriots to town. So it's also, credit to Belichick for coming up with a game plan that worked, and saw what happened last year and figured out a way to stop it. So maybe this is just one case scenario where a team that we don't view as being a very good team just gets its way with a very good team, which happens. Yep. I mean, week 1, Jaguars Colts. I mean, you see what happened there and how absolutely absurd that win is now, considering everything else that's happened since then. So I don't know. I do think that the Patriots might be on an upswing because they're going to get Edelman back. I think that he's coming off the IR this week, which is going to be a big help for them on the offensive side. And I think, Cam Newton just continues to try to carry his team, carry this offense, but you do have, like, Jacoby Myers playing very well. The running game is starting to play well with Harris and Buckner, or Burkhardt, rather. And then the defense, J.C. Jackson keeps on getting interceptions, and you have a young pass rush that's starting to generate some things. So, I don't know. I want to put this Patriots away, and I'm glad that we didn't bury them in our cemetery segments.
Me too.
But I also, this is a week-to-week league, so this could be a big week for them, but then they could, blow it against the Texans this week. So, I don't know. It's a big old question mark. As for the Ravens, it's like, I don't know. They have had these issues consistently with the passing game, and I think if there's one thing that everyone could agree on, because I know that people are going to want to throw blame on Lamar and throw blame wherever. I think the big thing is this team is like the Packers in the sense that they need they need playmakers.
Yep.
Desperately. So that's where I'm at.
Same here.
All right. So that is that. That is the recap of week 10. So if people following who follow the gaming industry very closely, you would know that yesterday, at least by the time you guys see this podcast episode, if you watch on the day that it's uploaded, yesterday was the announcement of the 2020 Game Awards. The Game Awards have become the kind of like the premier award show of the gaming industry, really, by like one dude. Jeff Keighley just kind of came out of nowhere, just like, hey, we're I'm at this Game Awards, and now everyone kind of considers it like the Oscars of the gaming industry at this point.
It is the definitive. It is the best picture
right.
type of deal.
Yeah, exactly. Like this. It has just become like you want to be nominated for these awards. I don't know. Have you got a chance to look at any of these nominees? By the way, I was just curious.
Yeah, I have. I am afraid to say that Last of Us Part 2 will probably win.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't.
I'm rooting. I of course, if out of the 6 games there, I mean, I played the most of Animal Crossing, and I love Animal Crossing. I don't think it's going to win.
No.
If I wanted to put if I'm going to put my thumb on the scale on things, because I'm sure I have that amount of influence, Chris. Good job. I would love to see a Ghost of Tsushima win or a Hades win, because I think Hades is a great indie game. That people I've seen people rave about, and Ghost of Tsushima I just think has been that was kind of overshadowed a little bit by Last of Us, but people love Ghost of Tsushima.
Mm-hmm.
I cut you off. What were you guys saying?
No, it's okay. I was gonna say I would love to see Hades win. Like I've heard nothing but good things. I haven't played it just because I'm not a fan of those types of games. But
sure,
I've been considering it really really heavily. Getting it, we might. I might do it for like the next gaming coop or something.
Yeah, I mean I would love to hear your input on it, because I hear I initially I was thinking I thought it was just kind of like a kind of general like roguelike, just not really a at first I didn't know really how much character there would be, but I've seen like comics and memes and people talking about it like that it's actually kind of rich with character, and it's actually kind of like hilarious, the characters as well.
Yeah, I've heard fantastic things about it.
Yeah, so I would root for Hades to win in this instance. Just and again, like I know that Last of Us ended up being like a beautiful game in many people's lives. People enjoyed the gameplay of it. I guess my personal opinion about it, outside of like the obvious where there was a lot of crunch and things like that.
There's a lot of crunch. There's a lot of transphobia and queer baiting and
right. There was that element of it, and then there was. I also think that there's also this general storyline where like. And we've talked about this on the Gaming Coop. If you follow the Gaming Coop podcast, that's kind of our video game podcast where we've talked about how like The Last of Us kind of is like, you must do this thing, and then we're gonna make you feel bad for doing that thing, even though we forced you into that situation. And
you had no other choice, but you have to feel bad because you're the player.
Right. Like you want to it's the perfect you want to be in this dreary world. Well, we're gonna make you feel as dreary as fuck, no matter what. And it's just like,
but it's so deep, Chris.
Yeah,
no other game has done that before. Congratulations to Ellie, the first female video game protagonist ever.
I think that whatever people view the game, whatever happens with in terms of the awards. It's just there's just too many negatives I keep on hearing about Last of Us that I'm just like, okay. I'm good. But anyways, so that's the Game Awards, and there's a ton of other games nominated. I was disappointed to see the lack of Origami King nominations, even though that was totally expected.
There's no way that's
it would get nominated.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I got nominated for Best Family Game. I'm fine with that. I'll take that nod. But yeah, no, it was, and Among Us and Fall Guys, all that stuff. I would love to have seen a lot. I'd love to see more from Among Us, or but Fall Guys also, I'm surprised was not a Game of the Year nomination. That was shocking.
Well, it also came out in 2018, so.
I'm talking Fall Guys, not
Fall
Among
Guys.
Us.
Yeah,
yeah, Among Us.
Okay.
Among Us. No, I understand why Among Us was more considered. Like, they nominated for best mobile game, and I think like best multiplayer game, which I think that's fine. I get it. Fall Guys, though, I'm like, they put Doom Eternal over Fall Guys, and I was just like, huh, that's interesting to me. But whatever. So, in honor of the Game Awards and all the discussions and debates that really don't mean anything, we're going to do a debate that also doesn't mean anything. What has been the game of the year thus far? Now, we already talked Bills and Cardinals, and I think that both of us could agree that has been the game of the year to this point.
I would agree.
But I do want to give nods to other games, because there's been a lot of pretty solid games this year, things we'll look back on and be like, oh, I remember this moment, remember that moment. What is a game in your eyes, Matt, that maybe not doesn't reach the level of last week, but is up there amongst the best games that we've seen this year of the NFL?
I'm going to keep the Cardinals in this game and talk about Cardinals Seahawks. We get a rematch of that on Thursday, but, everyone kept talking about, and it has been memed to death, DK Metcalf chasing down Budda Baker happened in that game. And wasn't just that moment. The entire game was just back and forth of both teams just showing how good of a team that they are and why this division is the best.
It was incredible. Like the moment, the amount of jaw dropping, like holy shit moments that happened in that game. There is a part of me that feels like that was the better game than Bills Cardinals, even though like those Bills Cardinals was like phenomenal. It had like the insane ending that it did, but Seahawks Cardinals had so many like swings and momentum and crazy things that happened. It was so much to enjoy, and plus the fact that it was in prime time and the whole world got to see it in its entirety. Like, it was just see the whole world kind of react to it. It was so much fun, and it was also, I believe that was the Seahawks' first loss of the season, so which also kind of felt like a significant moment. In kind of like how the Seahawks have now taken a little bit more of a downward spin here. In recent weeks. Speaking of the Seahawks, I wanted to go Patriots Seahawks as well, because that game was at times it felt like the Seahawks were going to put the game away, and then back when with the Patriots we knew were a better team than they were, at least maybe around this time or within the last like 3 or 4 weeks. Cam Newton coming back in that final drive where it seemed like the Patriots were destined to punch it in, and then the Seahawks pass rush all of a sudden coming in and stopping Cam on the goal line, and Cam Newton trying to get around his I think it was his left tackle, and the left tackle not doing a good job at blocking, and ultimately the Seahawks taking him down. Like that moment, that's going to be an image that remains in my brain for 2020 for a while.
I'm going to do another Seahawks game, just because the Seahawks have had a ton of fantastic games.
Sure.
Seahawks Vikings even.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very fun game to watch. Seahawks always tend to make it close with how bad their defense is, but it made the Vikings kind of look good, and now we see the Vikings also like actually being a good team now.
Yeah, like I mean, I think that was, we've been waiting to see the Vikings kind of start to get into their groove a little bit. That was coming off of the first win of the season against the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
And they were starting to do well, and then unfortunately, primetime Kirk Cousins happened for that moment. But even though he played very well, it was more so just that the Seahawks offense was just too hot that could not stop it.
Yep.
And so that was a great moment. I think one that people forget. Oh, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just laughing.
Oh, okay. One game that I feel like we haven't really talked about a lot since it happened, I feel like needs to get some recognition still, is Chargers Saints. I thought that was a wonderful game between dueling quarterbacks, the old versus the young. And it came down to the very end, ended in a field goal in overtime. Like, it was just, I believe the Chargers was it the Chargers kick that went wide right, and then that's what triggered overtime in the first place. Like the Chargers had this game won, and then the Saints were able to kind of use take the advantage and go down the field. It was great. It was such a fun not super back and forth game as far as I remember, but like a game where it was a perfect showcase of like the old guard versus the new guard that I'll remember for a while. Do you have any other games? Because I do have a few others listed here.
Not on the top of my head.
Okay. Bills at Rams. Just the craziness of the fact that the Bills were up so big and then the Rams came back from this huge deficit to nearly tie things up, and then the Bills had that one drive that basically solidified the victory. Or I believe the Rams even took the lead, and the Bills got the victory off the last drive that they had. Mm-hmm. There was also I feel like maybe as a game as a whole wasn't great, but the ending was fantastic. The Bears-Lions game, where the Lions felt like they were up big, they were not going to give it up, and then the Bears came back. Mitch Trubisky was a hero in Chicago for a day, where they ended up going up on the Lions, and then unfortunately DeAndre Swift not bringing down that touchdown by the Lions, ending off that game.
My fight or flight response just activated.
About in what sense? Just the Mitchell Trubisky?
Yeah.
Just mentioning his name. And just some miscellaneous ones I wrote down just in more recent weeks. Buccaneers at Giants, I feel like was a messy but good game. Yeah. And there was some weird enjoyment that I got out of the Patriots game from 2 weeks ago. That as ugly as it was a close matchup, and the Patriots ended up coming through. And Dolphins Cardinals battle between Tua and Kyler felt like also deserved some praise there. But a lot of great games over the course of this 2020 year. Y'all should get Game Pass if you ever want to relive those games on your own time, because shit's good. All right. Before we move on to our picks for Week 11, we're coming off of a VBBFL Week 4 stream, and we would love to give you our highlights of that. Would you like to start, Matt, on this?
Yeah,
one?
I'll start. All right, first up, we have Brainerd at Escondido. Escondido winning 27-15. The Artisans drew up a perfect first drive as a run-heavy sequence ended with a toe-drag touchdown by Foxy. A 30-yard touchdown run by Mennonite pushed the Artisans' lead to 14-0. After a beautiful connection between Mewtwo and Diddy Kong, Donkey Kong's best buddy gets Brainerd in the game to close the gap. But a contested catch between Phone Guy and Heavy goes the Artisans' way and extends the lead out of reach for the Paladins. Suicune was injured in the victory, but is expected to make a full recovery for next week's big game against the Sheriffs.
Next up, the Mansfield Weavers at Anaconda Mountaineers. Like clockwork, the Mansfield Weavers start the game with a Mario Sonic touchdown connection that never gets old. Mountaineers answer utilizing its 3-star wideouts and Lydia punching in the tying score. After a stop on defense by Anaconda, Chaz McCreely hijacks the game and throws it to Shadow over the Weavers. After scores by Atreus and Isabel for their respective teams to close out the first half 14-12, Flappy Bird extends the Weavers' lead with a fluttery touchdown, but the Mountaineers answer with a Mass Effect touchdown connection between Commander Shepard and Grunt. The Weavers, however, put the game away after some Mario Ratchet Sonic Flea Flicker magic to push the game to a 28-19 victory. McFreely is a potential release candidate for the Mountaineers.
Chaz, I'm telling you.
It's all those stupid Chazes out there.
Next up, Weatherford at Phoenix City. The Phoenixes led early after a nice passing drive that ended with a Kamek touchdown, but its defense continues to be a problem as the first of many successful drives by Weatherford ended in a Lucio receiving touchdown. In the second quarter, Gengar scores after a big play by Samus, followed by a lateral touchdown near the goal line from Enderman to Peabody to keep the score tied at 14. A spinning touchdown by Crash leads to a Joker kick so good that it splits the east end of Garrett Harrison Stadium in half. The Sheriffs extend the lead with a close touchdown by Tracer. Despite a burly touchdown run by Donkey Kong, Phoenix City could not come back after Samus walks into the end zone and Spadao explodes the west side of the stadium. Phoenixes enter a 4-game road stint while the Weatherford Sheriffs move to first place in the Western Conference. Final score 41-28 Weatherford.
And finally, the showcase game of Week 4, the Perth Amboy Privateers at East Chicago Blacksmiths. The only remaining unbeaten team left, Perth Amboy, doesn't slow down. The Privateers start the game with a nice touchdown reception by Sly Cooper. The lead is extended to 13-0 with Octodad catching a pass in a very moist way to score. East Chicago's first touchdown of the day comes from Pitt running a slant route to catch Corin's pass and score. Touchdown runs by Kirby and Toad push the score to 2013. Big Boss connects with Cooper to extend the Perth Amboy lead, and despite an effort by Sable to come back, an injury to the Blacksmiths' best defender at Sakura costs them the victory. The Privateers are 4-0 after the 33-20 victory. And that is your Week 4 VBBFL update.
Such a wild game, dude.
It is an amazing game mode. I have so many ideas of what we could do in the future for this. I was thinking even like a where we could potentially stream this visually using the tabletop simulator.
Yeah.
In some capacity, I don't know how that would work, but I would love to play with that game a little bit to see how textures work and things like that, where we could do that in more visual sense. But no, yeah, it's been it's been so wild playing this, and I'm excited to see what Week 5 brings, because we do have a winless matchup coming up between the Phoenixes and the Anaconda Mountaineers. So that should be something. I'm ready for it, man. I'm so excited for it. So we'll see when that happens. Stay tuned for news about Week 5 via our Twitter page at Virtual Ballboys. All right. That is that. We are now moving on. Week 11 picks. The week before Thanksgiving, before the playoff, before we really start to focus on the playoffs, before we really start to hunker down and start running playoff scenarios. This is the last week for that. This is the last normal regular season week, essentially.
Yep.
So this is a big one. Last week, I closed the gap a bit on Matt's lead here. Went 9-5, got my Team Chaos and my guarantee for I believe the first time this season, but I could be wrong about that. And got 5 points. And Matt went 7-7, did not get either the guarantee or Team Chaos, and ended up losing a point overall.
First time I've had negative points this year.
Yeah, so this was a definitely a little bit of a shift for this week. But Matt still leads. He's 92-54 with 37 points, and I am 90-56 with 32 points. So the gap is narrowed, but I am not back in it quite yet. I'm in it, but I'm not ahead.
You're in
yet.
it.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens this week. We'll see how many disagreements we have this week. Would you like to start things off, my friend?
I would. So Thursday night football, I am so upset that I'm not going to be able to have 100% of my attention on this game. We have the Arizona Cardinals and Seattle Seahawks that we mentioned earlier. It is a rematch, and whoever wins this game potentially leads the division, depending on what the Rams do. How do you think this is going to go down?
Oh, man, you want, this is kind of one of those things where, I felt like in October we were trying, you said it yourself, you were trying to figure out when the Seahawks' first loss is. Yeah. Now we're at the point where I was like, okay, where is the point where Seahawks will come back and win a game for once?
And start winning.
And I feel like it could be this game. They're at home. But I love the Cardinals too much right now, man. I gotta pick them.
Me too.
But it's hard. It's really hard. But I'm picking the Cardinals in this one.
It is so hard to pick the Cardinals over the Seahawks right now. But the Cardinals are just playing so much better. Mm-hmm. I think that being in Seattle could definitely sway things. But I'm gonna go with Arizona as well.
All right, perfect. The Atlanta Falcons at New Orleans Saints. Atlanta Falcons coming off of a bye. New Orleans Saints going to be without Drew Brees. in this game. Jameis Winston's going to be expected to get the start, and Drew Brees will probably be out for the next 2 or 3 weeks, I believe, maybe even more. He has a rib injury. But the Saints defense got the job done, as well as, of course, the greatness of Alvin Kamara. What do you have to say about this game?
I think I'm still going to go with the Saints because Alvin Kamara is still their offense.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't trust the Falcons as a whole right now. I think there's a chance, but I don't trust them as a whole, and I think Jameis could potentially get the job done.
Yeah, I was going to pick the Saints here, but we have to do chaoses here, and I felt like in this situation, I know that we felt like Drew Brees has been kind of a dud this year, but he has been an important asset for them overall. And based off of the what Jameis Winston showed in his short time on the field, it was not great. And so I'm a little worried that if Winston blows this game for the Saints, I could see it where Winston blows the game for the Saints, despite them having, again, a really solid defense in the running game. And the Saints are still my Super Bowl pick overall.
Yeah.
But I just think that this is a chance for the Falcons, who had been playing relatively better over the last 3 or 4 weeks. That I think that this is their chance to score an upset and get back in maybe the NFC playoff conversation a little bit. So I'm going Falcons, Team Chaos.
Cool. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals, 2-6-1, take on the Washington Football Team, 2-7. I don't really know what to say about either of these teams. Do you know? Do you know what to say? Do you know how to quantify these
quantify
disasters?
this matchup? Yeah, I mean, well, I think if I want to put, I picked the team that I like the most in this game, so I'm gonna go Bengals. I like the Bengals. I like Joe Burrow. The defense is still not great for the Bengals, and I do think they have a tough matchup against the Washington defense. But I don't know. There's just something about this game that I want to. I feel like Joe Burrow will bounce back from. He's bounced back before from rough games, so I feel like Joe Burrow's gonna bounce back.
Yeah, he's gonna have to because Washington's run defense is so good.
Yes,
and I think he has the capability, so I'm gonna go with Bengals too.
All right, sounds good. Philadelphia Eagles at Cleveland Browns. The Browns, with a weirdly close game in rough weather, the Browns ended up taking care of the Texans. The Eagles, meanwhile, oh boy, we thought they had the lead of the NFC East, the favorites, and we now know how much of a disaster they are. Can they recover from this disaster and beat the Browns on Sunday?
Well, the good news is that they still lead the division because they've lost less games than the Giants have.
Right.
But they're not going to beat the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, this is the start of the downfall, I think, happens this week.
Yeah. At this point, who do you think wins the NFC East?
I don't want to say Giants because they just fired their offensive offensive line coach.
Because he got in a fight
with the head coach. So just for context, the head coach, Joe Judge, he brought in the very popular offensive line coach from the Patriots for years, and as like a consultant, and the offensive line coach, not happy about it, apparently according to Kimberly Jones of NFL Network, called the offensive line coach, who I think his name is like Mark Colombo or something like that.
Yep.
Was like apparently called Joe Judge, quote, the dirtiest words of the English language. So I don't know what that means. It kind of alarms me. But the dude's fired.
In the comments for that, they seem to think motherfucker.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but Joe Judge seems to know what he wanted, and it's definitely an upgrade at offensive line coach, because same reporter Kimberly Jones was also said in I think the same tweet was like, yeah, someone behind the scenes told me that offensive line coach hire was not going to work out, and it did. So
it did not.
So I don't know. If I had to say if the Giants were to win the division, I don't want to give that much optimism to this team, but yes, I do think that
I will. I'll give it to them. They're going to win the division because they have a good defense and I can't even say competent offense. What the fuck?
They got it's Danny Wheels now. He's now known as Danny Wheels.
Instead of Danny Dimes, they changed the.
Yeah, that's a Rich Eisen show. That's what they've dubbed it now, because he's cool. He's good on the ground, maybe not so much in the air. So there you go. No Giants this week, so we could have the Giants conversation here. I'm fine with that. Next up,
but Browns to win.
Oh, go ahead. What were we gonna say?
Browns to win.
Oh yes.
Okay.
I did pick the Browns.
Yeah, just checking. All right, next up, the Detroit Lions take on the Carolina Panthers. Lions coming off of a narrow win against Washington, while the Panthers kind of got blown out by the Buccaneers, and did lose their quarterback that they're probably going to get back, and probably won't have CMC in this matchup. So what do you think is going to happen?
This one sucks. I hate this game.
Yeah. Me too.
There is some optimism that Teddy might play in this game, but there's also some reports that, even if he does practice this week, maybe for cautionary reasons, they do hold him out. Oh man, I don't know. CMC is definitely ruled out.
Yes.
The Panthers already announced that. My logic is that the Lions, as lost as the franchise is, and I'm gonna feel very bad if they do go on a winning run here, because the Lions don't deserve Matt Patricia here, but I do think that the offense for the Lions is pretty good versus a Panthers defense which has not been good this year, especially if Teddy Bridgewater doesn't play, I just worry that they're not going to be able to make plays in this game the way that they usually are with PJ Walker at quarterback. So I'm leaning Lions. I don't like this game though. I hate this pick in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Lions too. I don't want to.
Yeah.
But I'm going to, just because the offense isn't going to be at full strength. If the offense was at full strength, if CMC was in, easy Panthers pick.
No, yeah, that's where I'm at too. I was like, okay, if CMC played, even if it was PJ Walker and CMC was playing, I trust CMC a lot. Yeah. But it's I'm not touching this. I don't want to touch this game, but it's Lions for me as well. Next up, the Tennessee Titans at Baltimore Ravens. Okay, so these are two teams that have kind of floundered in recent weeks. They each got I feel like have had like similar waves as of late, where the past few weeks have been a loss, a win, and a loss for each of these teams. And so they're not staying consistent here. The Titans need help on defense while the Ravens need help in their passing game. What do you think is going to happen in this one?
This was probably the hardest one for me to pick because, as you're saying, both teams kind of floundering. Not really sure what to do with either of them. Can they get back up to full strength?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with the Ravens.
Me too.
Okay.
It is like, I do think that there's elements of the Titans defense, as poor as I've played, that might be able to match up well with the Ravens. We know that they have in the past. Obviously, this is the rematch of the divisional game, but they're missing. They've let go of key players from that game. The Titans, and I do love their offense, but I do think the Ravens can bounce back in this game if their defense plays solidly and the running game for Baltimore can get going. I think that both of those things can happen with this game. So I will also go Baltimore.
Cool. Next up, New England Patriots coming off their win against Baltimore take on the Houston Texans, who got the opportunity to play in the lowest scoring game this year so far.
So I know what's about to happen with this game.
Yeah.
Because I know where you went with this.
Yep.
I already predetermined another element of this prior to the podcast. I am not in any way wanting to do this, because I want what you want here, Matt. I want this to go through, but I'm in a depressed hole of the fact that the Patriots might start to begin a momentous comeback, and I don't want it. So I'm gonna try to make myself happy in either direction. If the Patriots lose, fuck yeah, hell yeah. I mean, like, we're good. We're gonna continue to bury them. But if they win, at least I get my guarantee with it. So I'm taking guaranteeing the Patriots.
All right, we need to hit the super fucko alarm, because I'm picking the Texans.
In a team chaos.
Team chaos. And I'm on the good side of the Super Fucko this time.
Yes, yeah, no, you're in good shape here. You're in good shape. But I want this. I'm okay
Yeah.
with this sacrifice. I want my risk here to. I don't care if it doesn't pay off because I would rather the Texans than Deshaun Watson needs to have some success for once. The only team they've beaten this year is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They need this.
Yeah,
they need this victory.
listen. I'm not high on the Texans by any means, but I also want to see the Patriots do it more than once. And
Absolutely.
Texans, Deshaun Watson are going to be a good test for that. So
No, I think this is going to end up being a close game no matter what.
yeah,
So I will also be rooting on the Texans, but in weird circumstances. The Pittsburgh Steelers at Jacksonville Jaguars. Not really much to say about this game. Steelers are 9-0. Jacksonville Jaguars are Jake Luden it up and may play this game close considering how they played the Packers close. Yeah. But what's your thoughts on this game?
Okay, I'm picking the Steelers, but how wild would it be if this is the Steelers' only loss this entire year, and that includes them making it to the Super Bowl and winning, and this is their only loss?
It will be in the history books as and we know this. We know the Jaguars are a heel or a thorn in the Steelers' side.
Yeah,
we've seen it before. 2016 when the Jaguars knocked the Steelers out of the playoffs. We've seen it. They've done it twice over the franchise years. They did the Jaguars knocked the Steelers out in 2008, I believe it was too. So the Jaguars are not they're not a good team in any way. But
no.
Maybe some thorny situations here could
maybe
happen. So
probably not. I'm picking the Steelers.
I'm picking the Steelers too. I don't think it's gonna happen, but just some hope out there for people who want it.
All right, next up we have the Miami Dolphins against the Denver Broncos. Miami on a big win streak, and Denver kind of just being Denver. Who do you have in this matchup?
It's kind of being Denver. I get it. I trust. This is a hard one to pick, only because of the venue. Because while the road home team thing hasn't really been a major factor this year, the altitude in which the Colorado Stadium is in is kind of rough to deal with, especially for a first time player in Tua. But with that said, the Denver offense is incredibly incompetent, and I don't have much faith in them to go against the Dolphins defense that has been playing stellar football the past few weeks. So I'm going Dolphins.
I'm going Dolphins as well. Really like this team, and there's a chance that they could win the division. So,
yeah,
that's
absolutely
insane.
Next up, the New York Jets at Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers coming off of 2 losses in 1 week, first to the Dolphins and then losing Justin Herbert's beautiful hair, and versus the Jets, who are coming off of a bye and looking to continue their 0-16 train. By the way, have you seen the Justin Herbert haircut?
I have.
Okay, just curious.
Listen. When you have such a signature hairstyle, why do you get rid of it?
It made me consider changing my pick here. It did for a split second. For a little while, it's just like, oh. And by the way, I will say, and you can pick the game in a second, but this is one of the games where I'm like, this might be the Jets' only shot if the Patriots are going to start doing this momentum thing. Like, this might be the Jets' only shot here.
This might be the Jets' only shot, but I cannot pick the Jets. I just can't, Nemo, and I'm gonna pick the Chargers.
I'm picking the Chargers too. I wanted to, I really did. I wanted to be like Jets because of fucking Justin Herbert's haircut, but no, I still think the Keenan Allen statement that came out to the Dolphins game where they were like, yeah, we had no idea what the Dolphins disguises were so good that we had no idea what to do on offense was a little alarming to me. But I don't think that they have to worry about that against the Jets team that is just falling further and further into obscurity. So, Chargers.
Alrighty. Next up, we have the Dallas Cowboys against the Minnesota Vikings. Dallas Cowboys are going to get Andy Dalton back, but the Vikings are on a win streak and threatening for the playoffs. How do you think this game's going to go?
I think the Vikings do it. I have no faith in this Cowboys team. I know that they're coming off of a bye in this game and could play well, but and yes, they did also play competitively against the Steelers. I totally recognize that this is definitely a trap game for the Minnesota Vikings, which is kind of wild to say considering how the Vikings have played this year. But I just think the Vikings are on a roll, and I think that they're going to continue to go. And I think that their offense is playing pretty well, and their defense is starting to play better. So,
yeah, I'm going to pick the Vikings as well. Great team here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The Green Bay Packers at Indianapolis Colts. I think another big showcase. There's so many good games this week. Big showcase matchup for the Indianapolis Colts, who get a tough Packers offense here. They have a defense that could compete with the Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. What do you think is going to happen in this game?
I think that the Colts really want to set themselves apart in this division, and the Packers have faltered a lot in games that they shouldn't be faltering in. So because of that, I'm going to go with the Colts.
Yeah, I think both you and I were discussing before the podcast. This could have been, Team Chaos. But then you look at the spread, and pretty much it looks like the favorite is the Colts are the favorite.
Colts are like 1.5 favorites.
Yeah, they're considered the favorite right now. So, I'm picking Colts too. I think that they are all around. Like if they're gonna play like the level that they did on Thursday night, I think that team could compete with anyone, and I think that's a big deal. And the fact that they had this little bit of a break as well is going to help them. So I'm going Colts.
All right. Kansas City Chiefs versus Las Vegas Raiders. Chiefs coming off their bye. Raiders coming off of a really nice win against Denver and their defense. The Raiders beat this team and are so far the Chiefs' only loss this season. Can they do it again?
I was thinking that this is going to be a tough game to pick, and then I saw that the Raiders, like, their entire defense went on the COVID list.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, they could, if they test negative, could still be out on the field, but losing that important practice before a game against Patrick Mahomes is brutal. And I think the Chiefs going to continue to show that they are one of, if not the best team in the NFL, and give the Vikings the win they were supposed to do back in October.
The Chiefs, you mean?
Yes, that's what I meant. The Chiefs will give the Raiders the first L, the L that they were supposed to give them in October. That's what I meant to say.
I agree, and I forgot about the whole COVID list thing, so I'm going to move my guarantee to a different team.
No, you could keep it there. You can keep it there.
Okay,
I'll allow it.
Okay, all right.
Well, but out of curiosity, what team would you have considered for your other guarantee?
I hadn't considered yet.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Okay.
But no, yeah, no. I think because I still think the Raiders have a very good offense. That
they do have a good offense, and the offenses could definitely compete really hard with each other.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Chiefs are gonna let themselves lose to the same team twice. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And if this was non-COVID times, obviously the defense would be there. But also the fact that if the stadium was filled with Raiders fans in Las Vegas, that could be a tough environment to play in. I can imagine. But not in this situation, not in the current circumstances. So Chiefs is good.
I will guarantee the Chiefs.
Yep.
And last up, Monday Night Football, Los Angeles Rams at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This was such a weird game for me to pick. Rams coming off a win against Seattle. Tampa Bay coming off of a flattening of, what are their faces? Carolina.
Yeah.
Kitty's got spanked. How do you think this is going to go?
This one was tough. Again, here's my thinking of it. Rams have been so inconsistent this year. They've had the great games and the bad games back to back. In fact, they have not had a 2-game winning streak since they played the NFC East in back-to-back weeks with the Giants and the Washington. Since then, it's been loss win, loss win. I think the Dolphins defense showed what if they put the pressure on Jared Goff and the offense, they showed what they could do. What could happen if a good defense plays a Rams team and slows them down. I think the Buccaneers still have a good defense. And I know I'm saying inconsistencies, and the Buccaneers have not been playing well over the last few weeks, but I think they're starting to get things back into motion. I think they're starting to get better again, and I think they can take care of business. I'm going Buccaneers.
The Buccaneers offense has been so consistent against every team that is not the Saints.
Right.
So I got to go with the Buccaneers here.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So then, was that just 2 disagreements?
I think just our chaoses, but one of them is a super fucko.
We have a super fucko in motion.
We do have a super fucko. Sound the alarm, Chris. In post. Just kidding. I'm not gonna make you do more editing.
I don't know what that siren would be even. We'd just be like, I'm just thinking dirty things, and I'm not going to even continue that sentence.
All right, you have to tell me afterwards what you were thinking.
Nice. But yeah, all right. So wait, so it's Patriots, Texans, and then what was I forget what? Oh, the Falcons, Saints.
Yep,
that's right.
Falcons, Saints.
Okay. Oh man, do I have a terrible slate? This gap that I closed is not going to look good in retrospect, I don't think. But it's okay. I'll roll. I'll roll with the punches at this point.
Maybe the Raiders will win.
Right.
Really fuck me up.
Yeah, man, that would be wild. All right. So yes, that's the situation right now. We will be back next week. We'll be back there'll be a Thanksgiving morning show of sorts. And we will break down. We'll basically, again, usually week 12 is when everyone's pretty much aligned. Everyone has the same number of games that they played, with the exception this year of the Buccaneers Panthers, as their bye is in week 13. But yeah, everything's starting to line up, and it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be a fun stretch ahead. Any final thoughts or plugs or whatever, Matt?
I don't think so. As always, check out our other podcasts, Dock of Shame, Gaming Coop, Table Party. Some good stuff there. Go listen to Super Nuclear Group's the Avatar Recycle. I did the music for that. They're rewatching Avatar The Last Airbender. I will be a guest at some point in Book 2, and I'm hoping in Book 3 too. We haven't talked about that yet. But they're about 3/4 of the way through Book 1, and it's pretty good. Great show. Great podcast too. So check that out.
Yeah, and for Gaming Coop, expect we might have a double dip of episodes potentially on Thursday. We might have during the morning. We might have VBB come out, and maybe Gaming Coop comes out later that day, or Gaming Coop might have already, but might come out maybe the day prior. Who knows? But stay tuned for that. It'll be a little Thanksgiving themed, thankful episode, grateful episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the gist of it. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Good night and good ball. Virtual Ball Boys has been brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Find us on Twitter at Virtual Ball Boys and find more of our work at Team Chaos Pods.